Welcome everyone to Ideafest for, I forget which fund 8 now. So I've been through a couple of these and I hope that you guys enjoy your presentations. We'll be going through 4 or maybe 5 proposals. I do have a list of 2 here at the very end. So I presume they're sharing the same slot. And we will start today with Nadia Hopkins. You are presenting vCA Treasury for rapid funding, correct? So I'm glad that you're here and you are welcome to take the floor.
Great, thank you. I appreciate being here and very excited both to share this proposal and to get feedback on it because it's this is a proposal that I am the proposer for because of my role as the rep for the CAs and vCAs. And a lot of thought and contribution went into this proposal from different members of the community. But because of its nature, I'm here representing it. And maybe I'll give a little bit of a backstory. We have this great community advisor improvements challenge that was put forth for Fund 8. And so this proposal aims to use some of that potential funding, which is $100,000 in this challenge, towards creating a treasury that would serve the CA and vCA community with opportunities for rapid funding. So this group right now, everyone sort of self-identifies and contributes because of their involvement in the community advisor and veteran community advisor roles. And the administration of that and the just growth and maintenance of the needs of that group are ever growing and changing as everything in Catalyst. So the purpose of this treasury is to create funding that can be governed and distributed for ongoing needs of that growth process over the next 6 months. So what you'll see in this proposal is a suggestion for $30,000, and the group collectively looked at what other proposals were being made within this challenge and tried to choose a number that would allow our good work to happen, but also not take from the opportunities for other tools that were also being built. And I, as the proposer of this, we are putting it forth as a representation that we need both treasury and some governance framework around that treasury. And our hope is that as it is funded, we will then also create a admin team here that will be able to do the work of actually making decisions about this funding. So while I'm the sole representative of it, a treasury admin group will be responsible for actually carrying out the treasury governance framework over time here. So the different categories, we started sort of broadly with different categories that could be the funding sort of regions that someone could come and request from. One of those is community management and moderation. One of them is community events or events and offerings. This could be like workshops and trainings, these kind of things that will be needed to help improve the quality of the group over time. Treasury management, documentation and auditing, tools and services, and marketing and PR. So I thought that I would just give some suggestions maybe to help paint the picture of some of the needs for this group. And then maybe from there, I'll give like 1 or 2 more details, but I'd love to just open this up for questions, because I think because this is a treasury specific proposal to serve this community, it will be helpful to get insights, and also maybe others who would want to be involved in thinking about how we will put together the process of choosing the admin team. So I've just jotted down some examples here that could be funding requests in the future. So one of them could be underneath the community events or events and offerings. One of the things that this group talks about a lot is the need to help develop the community advisors so that they're creating more and more quality proposals. So we might want to create, for example, additional materials, or we might want to create a series of videos that are educational in nature. We might, however we want to do that. Maybe we have webinars or workshops that are hosted to help people create more good and excellent proposals, not proposals, sorry, assessments for the proposals. So that is one example. That's actually a live example that's happening through Fund 7. We're talking a lot about that creation of those opportunities. So right now, those things are being created on a volunteer basis by the people who are participating. A second example would be someone to really maintain a high level of documentation and auditing, because we're making governance decisions in the beginning here, and we want to understand for the future how things were decided upon. So that might be an actual person who we would incentivize to actually do that work in more of a subcircle way. Another example is we're using tools right now that community members are simply funding the cost for out of need. We have things like GitHub and Gitbook and dwork and the Discord server and all kinds of related things that go together to help us be able to communicate and work together. Some of those things are free, but as you grow and you need more of the interoperability features, there become costs related to them that this community should not have to front. Another thought is like outreach incentives to onboard more quality CAs and to make the role more broadly available. So that was an idea too, that we might incentivize some of that outreach to do the marketing. So I put these things out just to give you a sense of scope. And the last thing I'll say, that there is a governance framework included in this proposal, which gives suggestions for how, for example, the Treasury team would be selected, how the wallets will be managed, how funding is dispersed, how we would vote on things if there's disagreements. Now, all of these things are included in a linked governance framework within this proposal. So rather than get deeply into it because of the time constraint, I will just say that that exists. And if you're interested in it, it really is spelled out there pretty well. But some of these things are for us to decide post funding. So I really appreciate the time to talk about this. It's an exciting thing to be thinking about at this stage of our growth. And maybe I'll stop there and open it for questions from the group.
Great, awesome. So one question I've always had about the CAs is like, how do I know whether a CA is, for example, I manage a team of developers, and there's one person in particular who's very good at auditing. You know, you can give him a PR and he can say, you know what, look at this and this and this, you've missed this, and he can kind of pick up bugs very easily. And I kind of think that is an innate talent of his, as opposed to another developer who's very good at you jumping at a new task and being able to execute it. So I've always wondered, you know, when it came to the CAs, how do you actually measure their capacity to audit, and how could the Treasury benefit that?
Their capacity to audit a proposal, for example, is that what you're meaning?
Yeah. So because I mean, like, you know, there's obviously a review process afterwards, but you know, prior to that and the development of the role, whether someone's actually suited for it.
Yeah, so that's really a balance. I'll answer it this way. There is a very clear set of guidelines for how assessments are assessed, and they're not particularly complex. It's something that someone could come in and understand the guidelines for assessing proposals, and it is the work of the CA to use those guidelines to interpret whether or not the proposal has been successful there. So that is broadly open to the community. And if someone comes in and, you know, we heavily encourage that someone would review that guide. We also have the Catalyst School workshops and webinars where there's additional training. So in a general way, everyone who comes in, regardless of their skill sets, should take those routes. My sense is that you're asking about whether or not a proposer is fit to propose, or an assessor, a CA is fit to assess a proposal that has a high degree of technical need. And there's a broadness to that right now. That's certainly something that we talk about within the group. There's not a specific requirement for that right now. There's nothing that will prevent anyone from assessing something that might have a tool that has a technology beyond their intimate understanding, but that's probably a thing for further conversation as well. But right now, I think generally we encourage people who have that specific skill set to migrate towards those areas where they can be particularly helpful there. But the feasibility, auditability, and impact criteria have specific questions that you want to look at and address. So beyond that, it is an exceptional benefit that you have someone who has really, an accountant assessing accounting proposal or something like that. And I'll defer also, there's other great CAs and vCAs on this call. So if anyone wants to add to what I've just said, I welcome that. Did that answer your question?
I have a question.
Yes.
So Nadia, I've been a CA and a vCA twice and once. So I've always wanted to do the technical categories, but I didn't have the technical know-how to do those categories. And since they are a broader percentage, I lose out on a good number of opportunities to do. So my question would be, is there any basic training that the CAs, that I as a CA or vCA could get to be at least competent to do an assessment of some of those technical categories, particularly the big ones like some of the depths and integrations, or maybe the scaling solutions, or maybe open source developer ecosystem? So is that something that's on the cards with this particular proposal?
This proposal does not address that directly or specifically, but I could see that could fall under maybe the workshops and trainings category, but it is not putting forth the call to action for that specifically.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, so will this proposal allow you the ability to create a platform or maybe utilize a platform that you already have, where you mentioned all these different tools for CAs, but they're kind of spread out. So would this allow you guys to be able to put that all in one place and provide videos and, just kind of booklets everywhere where you can funnel everyone that wants to be a CA to go say, hey, look, here's the resources. Here are some proposals that have been funded in the past. These are the reviews that were left on those proposals. So is that what you're trying to do with this proposal?
So let me answer it this way. The proposal is to create the Treasury with a governance framework, and how that funding ends up being distributed is up to the community to come and request the funds and have them go through the process of having them approved by a Treasury admin team, so that things can be done in between and in an ongoing way rather than needing to build a whole proposal for it. So specifically to your question about what I'm hearing you ask is, is this going to give us the opportunity to centralize information and resources for CAs so there's somewhere they can come to find those? I would say that is already a process that's in the works, and some of those things are being paid for by the community right now. So as those things grow and develop, yes, that is a potential of the funding for this, but that it is not the intention of this proposal to create that hub. That hub is already in creation, and so the Treasury it's to create a Treasury here, this proposal, and the Treasury will be able to fund things like that, yes, but this is not specifically to create that funding, or not to create that project.
Correct. So this will allow you to compensate people for their time so they can actually devote more time to building those resources.
Yes, if they are specific to the CA vCA improvement process, and if they go through the process of requesting the funds, being evaluated, and then having those funds distributed in a transparent and agreeable way.
Okay,
all right, perfect. You answered all my questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it does definitely adds a lot of clarity to me. I mean, I see it as pretty much as you said it, is that the community is funding upfront things that there shouldn't be. And I see this as sort of a rapid mechanism to say, well, we need this now. And obviously it can be evaluated and audited as things go through, and then the fund can be topped up, the treasury can be topped up. So yeah, cool. Great. Thank you, Ben, for your presentation. Fortunately, time has run out.